Well, Election Day is fast approaching for 2019. In fact, early voting is already in full gear.
Texas has 10 state propositions on the ballot for November 5th. We're going to break down each one. State Proposition 1 allows a municipal judge to hold more than one office in their community at a time. This helps smaller counties with a limited amount of qualified people.
They can fill multiple positions with one qualified candidate if they don't have enough people available for all positions. State Proposition 2 will allow the Texas Water Development Board to issue up to $200 million more in bonds. These are bonds issued to areas deemed economically distressed. The bond would improve the water supply and sewer service.
Economically distressed areas are defined by the state. It depends on the population, median income, and current condition of the water supply and sewer system. Proposition 3 is about allowing the government to grant tax exemptions for property in disastered areas. Currently, local government has the power to reappraise property values, but this can only be done in places declared by the governor as disaster areas.
Now, they do not have the power to change property taxes for those reappraised properties, but Proposition 3 would allow those tax exemptions and include an amendment to regulate how and when they can be applied. Proposition 4 would prohibit Texas from ever enacting a personal income tax. Texas currently requires a personal income tax proposal to be voted on in a statewide election. Now, this proposition would ban it altogether.
It would also require a 2/3 majority vote in the legislature, as well as a statewide vote to overturn the ban. Proposition 5 would clearly designate money from a state tax on sporting goods to fund state parks, wildlife, and historic sites in Texas.
Right now, the state legislature is allowed but not required to designate 6.25% of the money collected from the sporting goods tax. Proposition 5 would guarantee that the full amount from that tax be spent to fund the Parks and Wildlife Department and Historical Commission. State Proposition 6 is a $3 billion bond increase for the Cancer Prevention and Research Institute. The institute was originally created in 2009 after it was granted $3 billion in bonds by the voters in 2007.
As of May 2019, the institute has issued $2.26 billion to fund research, mitigation, and developing cures. Proposition 7 would increase money flow to the state's available school fund. The Texas General Land Office was granted the power to direct up to $300 million to the ASF. This was done back in 2011 by another state proposition. This money comes from revenue generated from the state-owned lands. This includes making money off of mineral rights from oil and gas companies or grazing rights from ranchers.
Proposition 7 would increase the amount available to the ASF. We're talking up to $600 million. It would also allow the State Board of Education to direct their own $600 million into the ASF from land-related proceeds. Proposition 8 is a constitutional amendment to create a flood infrastructure fund. It would pay for flood drainage, mitigation, and control projects across the state.
A Senate bill is also attached to the proposition to regulate how funds can be used, where they would come from, how local government can apply, and what they can be used for. State Proposition 9 would create a tax exemption for precious metals being held in a depository. Local government are currently allowed but not required to exempt personal property that's not used to make money.
Now, Proposition 9 would guarantee precious metals like gold, silver, or platinum that are sitting in depositories to be exempt from property taxes. And Proposition 10 is an amendment to allow handlers or other qualified caretakers to adopt law enforcement animals after retirement. Animals such as horses or canines that are used by police are currently classified as salvage or surplus property to be auctioned, destroyed, or donated to charity when they retire.
State Proposition 10 would make it legal for the animals' handlers to adopt them. Now, as a reminder, early voting is from October 21st to November 1st. You can find voting locations at votetexas.gov.
Now remember, we are your local election headquarters. We'll continue to keep you updated on ballot measures as November 5th approaches.